Okay, I'm going to continue. Now I'm going to get a different cleaner. God, look at my hands. I'm going to get a cleaner stump. And now I'm going to identify some of the very lightest lights. And I want to be particular with them. Now I'm drawing. Even if I'm using the stump, I am now drawing. Right into the corner of an eye, there's always a light that travels down this plane of the face, right past the nostril. And I'm going to do this until I can no longer lift successfully with my stump, which is almost any minute now. Then I'm going to go to my kneaded eraser. Kneaded erasers are great, but you do always follow this rule of thumb pretty much. I'm going to add this dark right under his beard. Up into the recesses of the furthest areas from the light, always make your darkest. And get them done before you start pulling your lights out. Okay. Now I'm going to reinforce the darks in his eyes too. But with your eraser, you do the very same thing. He's got a rim light around the hat. Now I can use the kneaded eraser, but that's kind of detail. I don't want to go there yet. So I'm going to start at the lightest light, which is the top of his hat. The lightest light of the top of his hat is right here where the brim picks up. I start at the lightest light. As my eraser gets dirty, I move away and I pick up less light. Then I can finger swipe right here because there's some pass-through light at the brim. I really want to control this. I don't want to get too carried away. There is light passage right here on the outside, but it's right there on the farthest edge first. So I'm going to wipe from that area and go back. I'm going to start at the lightest light and go back. He's got another little bit of a light here, but I don't want to make it as light as what's up inside. Now my lightest lights are the bridge of his nose, this little bag under his eye, the nostril plane picking up some light, and that highlighted area right next to the eye. That's why the nostril gets lit. But just past the nostril on the face, right there, the muzzle of the mouth always pulls out into light. Then the lower jaw and lip come back out. The form rolls. Now it's dirty, and I started in the lightest light. Now when I go into that little bit of the mustache and beard, it gets darker and darker and does not cause me grief to pull too much light out of the darker areas inside the shadows. Same with this little light where his cheek is. As long as this stays dirty, it won't pull so much light out. Okay, then his mouth is, I'm going to clean an area, and I'm going to hit this jawline. Now I just overshot that a little bit. Right here I want that to stay darker, so I'm just going to push that leftover charcoal in. I'm going to hit the brow a little bit where the form comes back out. The brow also right above the eyebrow hits a light. So does this side. I picked this up first, so I had dirt on my eraser. I call it dirt. And I don't overshoot the light. The bridge of the nose stays a little dark. It just gives character to me. I like that. I can hit this point in the eraser now up into the highlight of the eye. The eyelid, lower eyelid, picks up light on him. And again, I will add the darkest darks in there in a bit. It's a little passage of light right there. Then there's a halftone. I just pulled out a little too much. So you've got control over this as long as you don't overshoot your pushes and your pulls. I'm going to add this. That's a Terminator. That sallow cheek. I love that sallow cheek. I don't want to lose it. Okay. Now the top of the necktie wraps, and there's a real nice light pickup right there inside the fold of that, and then the plane of the necktie when it comes down, and then down here. I love kneaded erasers because if you leave bumps in them, it creates texture, but watch out for pattern. You don't want to pattern anything, so you can do this and turn and twist and turn and gnarl the edge of the eraser, and it will give you the texture of hair or beard, if you want to call it that. And then I'm going to pick up his earlobe in there. All right. Now the rim of the hat, I will also use click erasers. Click erasers are for important lights like the brim edge on his hat. It passes the halftone here where it turns down, picks back up right here, and then I will also get the center plane or the brightest bright from behind it. I will start cleaning out my light, giving the impact lights. To me, I call them impact lights. I don't know what anybody else calls them. And detailing the things that need the most attention, like the detail. This is just like a pencil. So I have my highlight in here. He's got a light where his eye is. And that's important. That spark in his eye is so important to me to give that, reveal that personality. All the way up into here. This light right there is one of the most important facial lights. I also don't work really hard at separating forms if they don't need it. If I needed to separate the nose, just a little bit of a dirty stump. The problem with most students is that are fairly new to this, and even not new, they think that black is the only value, and it isn't. It's a there's gradations of value, and that's what this whole process of drawing is. Now I can define the upper lid, the dark of the eye, clean up the eye lines. Now I'm going to use a stump to pull this eye shape into the corner. Soften the edges of the brow. Now it's just finesse. From this point on, it's basically finesse. Now he's got a little bag under that eye that I like. So I use this instead of grabbing something really dark. The dirt on the tips of one of these is a great drawing tool. You can emphasize the shadows. I can pick up a little charcoal in the bottom of my tray. And then when I'm ready for a pencil, I'll pull out my pencil. When I'm ready for line, basically, I'll pull out my pencil. I do not, if I don't have to, start with a pencil because there isn't any reason to fill this entire page up with value off of that little tiny point. What's the point? Let's get in here and put some value down with some loose charcoal and get half that covered for you. The crease of the fold of the hat is a crisp line, so we'll put that in. I will darken the turning edge of the nose. That's a terminator. I'll go past the nostril where the nostril would be. I'll leave that little bit of value change right there. And identify it intentionally, the terminator. The bottom plane of the nose, even though my reference is shot out, I know the bottom plane of a nose turns under. So I'm not going to overshoot that just because my reference says, oh, you can do that. I don't want to do that. Now up in here in this eye, this is an important eye to me. So I'm going to highlight in white this eye. And I'm just going to touch that little bit of highlight in that one. I may even just brighten up the tip of his nose, this mustache light, and this light plane just underneath the nostril. Because I know those are important. And that lower lip coming out. And again, this is just a push and a pull and working my values out. I can push this as far as I want to. There's nothing extremely attractive about matching references completely. So just be careful. Have fun, but don't overwork this. Don't make it so difficult that you're not paying attention. You don't want to jump in and start structuring your interior lights to their lightest degree and then lose all your value and then have to put them back in. That is so frustrating and it's so time consuming. Now I'm going to work on his hand. The back of his thumb is picking up light. His first knuckle is picking up light. His gnarly finger is picking up light. And that's about all I'm going to do for this little demo. I might lift just a little bit out right here because some of the inside edge of this is either picking up that light from either bouncing off his beard up in there, or it could actually be light like this cheek. I'm not positive. So it's not a great reference. Again, light was passing behind him. So I may take that out. So his shoulder and the brim of this hat show up. And I'll just leave this abstract. Doesn't matter what that is. To me, doesn't matter what that is. I'm going to lift just the fullest part of his beard right in front of your face. Last little thing. Highlights in the beard hair can be done with this. You can literally just scribble around in there and find some lights. Because the beard hair, little tiny bits of the hair come out and pick up light. So especially right over the lips. Now that the nose is picking up a reflected light off of the white of his beard. So I'm glad I just noticed that. I like those. They're kind of fun. All right. I think that's going to do it for this. I may, play around with it a little bit, but I think at this point, it looks pretty good. Maybe one little passage of underplane light, or pass-through light, on the brim of that hat on the inside. And I'm good. I hope you enjoyed it.